I'd like to introduce the next speaker, all the way from Vancouver, leader of the BC Truth Party, Jamie Scott.
Hello. How many people have seen me speak before?
Yeah!
Not many. Doesn't matter how many, the words matter. I don't usually use notes, but I did make some today. The first thing I wrote down was irony. It is ironic that we stand here in the most beautiful setting, in the still freest country on this planet, and complain about first world problems. We're all going to go home and eat, and with the exception of the man that's sleeping in the park and going to prison for it, we're all going home to sleep. There's people that we need to thank that we never do. We should support our troops because they are ready to die for us if they're given an order. And we must understand that they follow orders and they execute them perfectly on our behalf, or so they think. So if they're executing them on someone that doesn't have your best interests at heart, so you think, they're still going to execute those orders. And historically, they have been ordered to defend our freedom, and they come home, and we don't have their backs. We need to support our troops. We need to support our police officers. And instead of running around and making videos talking about how the police state is out of control, why don't we ever engage with these men? When you see a police officer, ask him, let me ask you, do you have to take a polygraph test? All of you do. But the men who write their orders aren't under the same level of scrutiny, to be honest, as they are. Don't turn on the police. Turn the police. Have the policeman say, yeah, why is it that I'm potentially fired for a single act of indiscretion or dishonesty, but people who are deciding all of our monetary and economic decisions, how we're going to live, what are all our rules of society, they're under no obligation to tell us the truth or to represent our views. So, the people inside the legislature, they have to do what the leader of their party tells them to do. That's not an acceptable political system anymore. Everyone who's inside of that building, and we're not inside, we're outside. We need to be inside.
Yeah.
Direct democracy.
That's where the laws are written, is on the inside. Direct democracy just got hollered out. I'm not a proponent of direct democracy. This is a system that is used in Switzerland and it's very popular. If we want to copy the Swiss model, we should copy their model of homeland defense.
Yeah. A seasoned soldiery.
Where every man that is able-bodied is trained in how to use arms, and he does national service for his country, and he's on call till a certain age, and they're ready to defend the homeland. And as a result of every single citizen being fully armed, well, they're not going to be invaded. But their political system relies on everybody being involved and following every single issue and then voting on it and deciding how it's going to turn out. Well, I don't know much about dolphin habitat, so I shouldn't have any say in the dolphin lifestyle. It's not my business. Those who are interested and concerned should be able to join a policy group at the government level, sign up with their real name, so we get away from using anonymous handles online. You stand up and you say, my name is Jamie Scott, here are my ideas, I want to bring them to the Farming Council. And people that are interested and concerned with farming can join it, and those who are not concerned with farming can stay home. There's always a talk in media that we need to increase the voter turnout. Rather, we need to decrease the uninformed voter turnout and keep people who aren't interested and concerned with certain issues out of that issue entirely.
Yes.
I'm not here to be popular or believed, and I have no timeline for the development of this party. So don't be alarmed by my lack of saying what every other politician says or standing up here and talking about bullying or any type of talking point of the day. Just want to say one thing about bullying. How many people here are against bullying? Someone give me a number. How many people in the country are against bullying?
Everyone. 30 million.
30 million.
32 million.
Okay, so as proof that you don't need 85 members of this legislature or 330 members of the House of Commons, the next time you hear a politician say that they're working on bullying, they've just proved their redundancy. We already have 30 million people working on that case. Who's working on the banking? If we need to intervene with bullying, maybe we should help the Premier because she's being bullied by China. I've discovered a new technology, or it's actually an ancient technology, that can instantly give us everything that we say we need. It will give you a free choice on smart meters. It'll give you a free choice on vaccines. Your private property should begin with your own body.
Yes. Yeah.
So that you cannot be intruded upon ever. And it's not just for us. This is for our grandkids. We're going to have nurses that are ordered to take flu shots or they get fired. This has happened in other places, and eventually we already have a continental government system. You're waiting for some announcement that we're going to have a North American Union and then you can go protest that. It is already fully in effect. Now there's a new political movement here in BC that wants to give you a direct vote for your leader. It's called the BC First Party. They're trying to elect a coalition of independent MLAs, get them inside the legislature. They want to introduce a bill where every single MLA gets a free vote and they no longer have to toe the party line. They just have to either represent their constituents exactly how they're told, or they can vote their own conscience and deal with their constituents that way. But they get their own free choice. That's the way it's supposed to be. So that's something that we should support. A free vote for the MLAs in the legislature. There is now a political party that's registered in this province that is going to give you that. They're also going to give you a direct vote for your leader. Now, I'm not telling you to go and join BC First, or if you're an independent to go run for BC First. But I'm telling you that a month ago I thought it was a pretty good idea, and so I discussed with BC First what the potential was for this. And I discussed with the BC Refed Party an idea to group all the parties together and come under one big BC United umbrella. And let's set everything up so that the day the people do wake up and decide that they've had enough and they want to change their system, they don't get caught like the folks in Egypt where they just stormed the castle and they had no plan B to switch to. Like a dog chasing after a car, the car stopped. Now they're run by the Muslim Brotherhood because they were ready. CIA. Now the BC First Party, I ran as an independent in the last federal election in Surrey North. I brought a pre-signed letter of resignation with me, and I urged all the other candidates to sign it, and I had it through 3 debates. Said if I am dishonest with you one single time, then I have to resign and forfeit my pension. How is that not a minimum requirement for every single person in our government? Yeah. I think if we have a provincial election with an at-large vote and an even playing field, that when your choices are between Christy Clark, Adrian Dix, John Cummins, And Jamie Scott, I think I can win that election. I like my chances on that day. So I support any sort of movement that gets us to a point where we vote like they are in the United States next month for President Obama or President Romney. That's how it should be here. Getting people, how is it realistic that I'm going to get 85 people that share every single view of mine and agree to tuck their tail between their legs and do everything I say, and have them dispersed in 85 separate regions throughout the province, and all of them be people of integrity? That is just ridiculous. A proper system would have a premier appoint a council of people that are all known to you ahead of time before you place a vote for him, so that you don't have a situation where the new guy comes in and says, guess what, I'm actually with these 50 guys and now we're running it this way, and you're in the same situation as before. Prior to having a party registered for you to vote for, we need to put down in writing a two-key political system where the citizens have a pre-veto power, like a launch on a nuclear sub. One guy can't just decide to launch nukes. They both got to turn their key. So if I come up with an idea after the fact, once I'm elected, because everything that I say prior to my election is part of my mandate and we get to do. So if I say I'm running for premier on the basis that I'm going to dissolve the entire legislature and remove the unelected lieutenant governor, then that's what we're going to do when we're elected. But anything new that we want to bring to the table, we don't just get to do whatever we want for 4 years. We would introduce it. Give you a chance to change it. Give you a chance to veto it before it gets signed into law. So we don't have a situation like we had with the HST. Yeah. Where they bring in the tax and then ask you later if you want it, and then tell you that we're going to eventually get rid of it. Imagine that mentality at the United Nations, where you decide you're going to go bomb a country, and then you wait a year and you let the country decide if they want to be bombed. And then you let them know that you'll soon stop bombing, and then you give them a date, and then they got to be bombed every day. You're paying that tax every day. I said 2 years ago, no matter how much you complain, you're going to pay that tax. You have no say. We need a new criminal code. Our system has no mechanisms for the people to draft their own security conditions. So we are constantly given a news release by the police, by the media, by the government that says, here's a new rapist. We're letting him out. He's somewhere in your community. Be guarded, be vigilant. He's likely to reoffend. He reoffended last time. Watch out. What are we supposed to do with this information? Sex offenders and people who harm our children should be removed from our society. I don't mind being the first and only politician in the Western world to propose indefinite detention. Because I've had enough. And we don't have any system to track and trace these men when they get let out. And having a time-based system, a time-based sentencing model, where we capture someone, we put them in a room, we tell them to wait there until the moon circles the earth X amount of times, and then he gets to go out and do it again, is ridiculous. We don't even know where these people are. We should have GPS tracking surveillance, at a minimum, a 24/7 surveillance grid intact. We should examine technology to put RFID chips inside so that if they go near a park, it's not up to the people to know where he is. We shouldn't be at home trying to find out where all the rapists and pedophiles are. These men should know where they are. And if the conditions say you can't go near a park, and a red dot shows up on a screen near a park, then they had their one chance, and they're gone. And that is not a slippery slope. Let me tell you what the slippery slope is. It's watching adult movies with teen titles. It's having the words barely legal permeated throughout our society. The slippery slope is our disgusting sexual nature. Reacting to it with a heavy surveillance system isn't any sort of act of tyranny. It's an act of security, and the people of this country need to design their own security, because the people who let them out, they suffer no consequence when they make a mistake. We need a new criminal code. And we need to end the debt-based monetary system.
Yeah.
Now we have a new leader of the Liberal Party, Justin Trudeau, and his answer when he's asked about the debt-based monetary system and whether or not the Bank of Canada should be used to print our nation's money supply, or if we should keep using unknown banks to lend us money. He says, I trust Mark Carney. I trust Mark Carney is not a sound economic strategy. Okay, now here's a sign. Arrest bankster Mark Carney. I don't want to arrest Mark Carney. I don't want to arrest George Bush. I don't want to arrest a single person for 9/11. I want disclosure on 9/11. I want the truth. That's it. I'm willing to offer global immunity to anybody who's ready to tell it, and we all should be. So hopefully President Romney orders a new investigation into 9/11, and we can have some disclosure. Don't hold your breath. But don't dismiss everything he says either because he's a Republican, or dismiss everything Obama says either because he's a Democrat. Because people from all sides can have good ideas. And we should be able to hear everyone's ideas. President Romney had an idea the other night. President Romney had an idea the other night that maybe the best way to cut down on violence is to create a two-parent home and wait to have children until you're married. Because eventually, when we raise our kids and we do it as a family, we keep our social morals intact. And we end the culture of violence over time. It's not the worst. We can hear everyone out. As if President Obama doesn't have good ideas. Of course he does. And some of the people that weren't allowed to speak here today, or there was a counter-protest against, I don't even know the man, but he should be able to speak. Because if I'm able to speak, if I'm a Canadian who's free to stand here and speak without fear, then he's a Canadian that's free to stand here and speak without fear. And if he isn't, then we're not Canadian.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Back to this ancient technology. What have I discovered that is going to be able to make all these changes? Guarantees you a free voice on vaccines, on smart meters, on giving you a two-key political system, giving you a chance to have a civilian preemptive veto power so you can stop destructive legislation before it starts. This ancient technology is handwriting. You need a human hand to write down the changes, present them to the people, say this is how we want to move forward. Please elect us. We're going to make these changes, and we're going to sign them into law with a human hand. Here it is. It's right here. When would you like us to start?
Now.